Hello, Stampin' Buddies. It's Late Night Lori from Lori's Little Bit of Crafting. I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States from Wisconsin, and it is much later than I expected it to be. So we're at midnight-ish, Wednesday into Thursday, so the 26th to the 27th, probably by the time I post this will be sometime on Thursday morning. I am going to show you how to do a little treat bag out of an envelope. Whether you've got a fancy envelope from a kit, Paper Pumpkin Kit or the Kids Collection, or if you are using just a standard medium Stampin' Up! Envelope. I'm going to do a little decorating first. Just want to remind you that this new catalog is coming out the first part of May. If you don't want to miss out on all of these fun things, you can always join my team, and then you have access to this now. But until May 6th, I cannot open that calendar to show you any of the good things inside. So, my last video, I did this card, and I did it in 2 color variations. The first one was Moody Mauve and Pretty in Pink. And I put some little Wink of Stella on there. I used a new embossing folder, something Friends. I don't remember exactly what it is because it's new. And then I always decorate my envelopes. Well, one of the other videos that I did recently, somebody asked if I showed, it was from the Daisy, the March Paper Pumpkin Kit that had the daisies, Delightful Daisies, or whatever that one is called. And I had made a treat bag out of one of those envelopes. So I thought, well, here I've got this card ready for somebody. What if I wanted to give them just a cute little gift that wouldn't need a very big package? So I thought what I would do is decorate an envelope. And I could actually take this one, but we'll go through the steps of doing everything. So let's go ahead and put a couple of our stamps on some blocks. If I put my stamp on my glass mat, I love my glass mat, but sometimes they stick too good to the glass mat and I can't get them off. And let's do maybe the heart. And maybe a leaf. So if I do those, we could almost make it look like a little flower, a heart flower. We'll see. We will see. Let's see, that's sticking pretty good. So I'm just going to do some random stamping. And I'm going to go grab the other bag that I made. Should have had that over here. But this is the one that I made from that Paper Pumpkin Kit. So some of the design was hidden on the bottom because of how we put it together. So I wanted to avoid that by stamping my own envelope. So since these are photopolymer stamps, let me get my Pearson mat. Let me also get a piece of scrap paper here. And we're going to start stamping. So I know that the flap is going to have a design on it. So let's start with the flap. And we'll go from there. So we're going to ink this up. And I should have probably done it with some Versamark again because I can see my stamp set, my ink pad is pretty juicy. And it doesn't want to give me a good image. So let's wipe this down. And I'm going to put some Versamark on here. Remember, that's a trick I mentioned recently, probably yesterday when I was working with the stamp set before. Now I could probably use like a spoon or something to push the ink down on my pad, on the ink pad. But for me, it's just as easy to use some Versamark. And that usually makes the ink stick better. And it doesn't bead up as much. All right, so let's do this. And I want to try to avoid getting that heavy line on there. I just want the foliage. All right. And then we're going to put some hearts on here and some leaves on here. So we'll put some hearts here. And some leaves. And if I want to try to make it look like a heart tulip, that might be the way to do it. That would look silly, wouldn't it? I just sometimes need to turn my stamps around so I can see what they look like. Okay. And I think that's a little off balance, so I'm going to do one more. And usually I say put the ink to your stamp rather than your stamp to your ink. Because if you go squish, 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 sometimes you get way too much ink on your ink pad. But I was very careful, all right? So let's, we're gonna score this at 1 inch all the way around here. So I just wanna decide how I want my design. I think I'm gonna go ahead and score this. Like I said, we're going to score it at 1 inch. Excuse me. And I'm going to make sure that we score through here pretty good. Score it 1 inch. Score it 1 inch. So it's really pretty easy. So the only side that I'm not going to score is the side that has the flap. All right. So we've got score, score, and score on the bottom, right? So then what we're going to do is fold these kind of back and forth so they're very flexible. We're going to create essentially a gusset around our bag, all right? So there's our first steps here. Now, what I want to do is get a design on here. So I think what I'm going to do is use this as kind of a mask. I'm going to put some more ink carefully on my stamp. And we're going to avoid putting that dark line on there. Hopefully I line this up all right. Whoa, that worked pretty good. So the reason why I wanted to avoid this bottom inch is that obviously, and I got a little smudge on there because it's on my fingers. That's all right. I guess I won't give this to anybody. I want to avoid that bottom inch. So that's why I put this paper over there, because this will be the back of our bag. All right. So this is going to be the front of our bag. Some of that's going to go to the bottom. Some will go to the sides. All right. So I think this is good enough for you to kind of get the idea. I'm going to close up my ink so I don't get any more ink everywhere. And what I want to do now is open up the envelope. All right. And what I'm going to do is push these sides out I'm going to push the bottom in so I create a triangle. And that's going to become the bottom of my bag. So again, we're going to push this down. We're going to open up the side so that we can create that triangle. All right. So the bottom of our envelope now is pushed flat so that we've got a bag. All right. So what I can do is take some glue, and I prefer to use glue for this because in my experience, the glue has just worked more efficiently than tape or runner. And I know that tear and tape is supposed to be pretty strong for things that move and have stress on them like a bag, but I just find that the glue works the best for me. So you can make your decision based on what works best for you. Okay, and then we're going to put some glue on this side of the flap. And I'm putting just a thin layer, but I'm making sure that I cover the whole triangle. All right, and then we're going to push this back down to the bottom. I'm going to press that just on my glass mat so that it sticks. Okay. So now on this one, I put the Velcro dot on here, and I left these tabs in here because that gives it a little bit of stability on the ends of your flap. Okay. So when we push our sides in, let me get this glue out of the way here. So now when we push the sides in to kind of create that gusset, we're going to push the corners in, kind of just pinch them to create like a grocery shopping bag. And you could crease it all the way if you really wanted to. And maybe I'll just show you that since I've already smudged this anyway. I would just fold it all the way, like when you collapse a grocery bag. All right. Now that does take away a little from your design on the front. Okay. You could always fold it the opposite way, but I kind of, when I open up a bag, this always seems to be like the front. All right. And then you could also snip these out. So you could, to make it smoother, you could snip up to here and then snip out here. And then, now I'm left-handed, so I think what I'm going to do is come here on this side. And then just snip down here. All right. So then you have just your flap, and you don't have any weird edges on the sides of your bag. All right. And there's your bag. So again, I could put a Velcro dot on here because I have a lot of Velcro dots. These are Velcro brand. I bought them through your friend and mine that delivers via Prime, Amazon. And they are probably like 3/8 of an inch, I think, are the dot sizes that I have. I think these are 3/8. They're pretty small. They're smaller than a 1/2 inch for sure. And they're adhesive on both sides. So I just take both sides, keep them together. And we're going to put the fuzzy side there. And I don't worry too much about having the adhesive there. I don't figure that anybody's probably going to be licking the bag, so it shouldn't really matter. All right. And then here is my little bag. All right. So let's say we wanted to gift some glue. A glue could go in there. It won't shut quite all the way. So the glue will fit, but that's probably not the best gift. Candy will certainly fit in here. We could put some Altoids in there. We could put a roll of twine in here. Or you could put embossing powder if you wanted to give somebody some embossing powder. I'm just looking for things that are on my table that'll fit in the bag. All right. And then what you could do too is put a nice ribbon across the top, or a bow. So here I have a bow that I already had. You could put that on the front. You could put some gems on here. But the idea is you just make a cute little gift bag, and then that would match my card or coordinate with my card. All right. So I would probably color some of those antique pearls that I used on this card and maybe put a bow on it. But if I had the pearls, I probably wouldn't need the bow. Okay. So you can dress them up however you want. All right. So if we want to do this one more time, I'm not going to decorate or stamp on this one. I'm just going to go through the motions of making the bag so you can see it one more time. So get your bag, get your trimmer, get your green glue. And as long as you're not doing any stamping on here, that's really all you need. All right. Excuse me. So I have my medium envelope, Stampin' Up! Envelope. You can do this with any envelope, really. It should work the same. All right. Flap is up. I'm going to put it in my trimmer, and I'm going to put it to the 1 inch mark. When I'm doing anything less than like 1.5 inches, if I have a longer side and a shorter side, I'm left-handed. It makes it easier for me to hold it here. So I'm going to put it in at 1 inch, and I'm going to score. I'm going to turn so that I'm scoring the bottom, not the flap side. I'm scoring the bottom at 1 inch, and the last side I'm going to score at 1 inch. Now you could leave that flap open to score, but I figured since I scored with it closed at first, I wanted to score the same on the other side. All right. So we're going to fold and fold back. We're going to fold back. You can burnish it with your bone folder if you want. I don't really think it's necessary. All right. There we go. And then we're going to open up our envelope. We're going to open up the sides, and we're going to push the bottom up. And I usually just use my finger inside to make that triangle. All right. So you can kind of work the side with the bottom at the same time. So what I'm doing is I'm pushing with my finger so that I'm flattening everything out, and I'm just making that natural triangle. Glue, glue. All right. The sides get pushed in, and your flap goes down, and there's your little bag. All right. Remember, we would pinch in the corners to kind of make that shopping bag look. And do that on both sides. I didn't fold very neatly. All right. So there we go. So that's it. All right. Pretty quick and easy. And they actually do hold a fair amount of goodies if you were going to put candy in there. You know, the smaller, maybe individually bite-sized wrapped pieces. All right. So that's our little project for tonight. Envelope gift bags. Give it a try. They're pretty fun. The more you do, the easier they get, and the faster you get at them too. All right. So that's all I have for you tonight. Until next time, happy stampin'.